Okay, so I finished inking the car with my ballpoint pen. Um, and as you can see, I made the shadow down here a lot less significant than it is on the reference photo, because I want to make this car green and not black. And I didn't want the black to be really, really heavy and sort of take away from it. Although, on the plus side, if I get this colored and decide I want this to be darker or I want this black area to be bigger, I can just color over it. So I always have that option as well. So I'm going to use two of my green markers. One's going to be for a base color and one's going to be for the shadows. And then I'm also going to use this gray for the metal parts, like in the tires and the front bumper and in the headlights, and some of the other metal pieces around the car. We're just going to use this gray color. So I'm going to start with the brush end of my Copic marker. And again, I know I say this every time, but just so we're all clear, it's really bad to use your markers on sketchbook paper. So do as I say, not as I do, I guess. So we're just going to start up here and real carefully start putting some color in here. So because this isn't marker paper and the color does sort of bleed on here, I try and be as careful as I can, but let's say, for example, the color bleeds into an area that I didn't really want it to go into. There's sort of some tricks you can use to clean that up. So for example, you could make the ink lines a little bit thicker, right? You could thicken those up to sort of cover where the color went through. I can take my white pencil and go over the color to sort of try and negate it, I guess, to try and cover it up and make it white again. So I try and be careful when I color, but if there are some mistakes, like you can even see, I don't know, I'll try and get close. Up here, that green bled in a little bit. You know, that's all right, it happens. We can sort of, you know, do our best to fix that up. Maybe no one would even notice but me. I shouldn't have said anything, huh? I'll get this colored in. All right. And so these are Copic markers that I'm using. They are really great. They last a really long time, even though I'm misusing them. But they're just a real good high quality marker. They're a little expensive. We have a Michael's in my town. That's where I usually get them, and they're probably about $8 a marker. But they do last a really long time, and as you can see, the color, if you're careful, comes out really smooth and even. So to me, they're worth it. Get this mirror colored in. All right. So that's going to be my base green color, right? So if I look at my reference photo again, and I can see, you know, where are sort of some darker areas aside from this sort of heavy shadow, right? And there's sort of like a darker area right here behind the rear window, a little bit of a shadow, you know, right here on the top. So I'm just going to sort of carefully start putting those in. And then with the gray, so I want to look at the details, for example, on this rear tire, on the metal part. The shadow is sort of the bottom half of that circle, right? So if I come in here on mine, I can just sort of do that. So even though this is very sort of graphic and a little cartoony, I still want to borrow the actual real elements from the photo because they're going to translate a little better. It's going to make the drawing look a little better. Right? So I want to sort of not make up, but I want to sort of keep it as realistic as I can because that's just going to help the drawing look better. Right? And then I can just sort of go over these pieces again to darken that color up. Right? So I'm just going to keep working on this until I'm happy with it, and then I'll add some of the background elements.